Americans used to be resolutely against Russia. They all identified and understood Russia to be an enemy of their interests, a bad actor on the world stage. Many older Americans remember the Cold War, and they understand the extent to which Russia today is kind of a lingering representation of everything that was wrong with the USSR. A country that has fallen back into dictatorship, led by a guy who's former KGB, and oh look, it's pushing around its Eastern European neighbors that it used to rule over. In 2012, Mitt Romney called Russia, without a question, our #1 geopolitical foe. Fast forward to today, and now we're watching awkwardly as America does Russia's bidding, as America sides with them against Ukraine. But why? Let's go over 3 possible explanations. Theory 1. Blackmail. The details are kinda hazy, but the theory goes like this. Trump works in real estate in New York City, a city of crime and corruption. This could have happened as early as like the 1980s. Trump, and possibly Giuliani, at some point got in bed with Russian operatives, maybe the Russian mafia, who got dirt, if not on both of them, then at least on Trump. This does sound a little wild at first, but there have been numerous allegations over the years that Trump represents a potentially major security threat because of his vulnerability to blackmail. He's lived a scandalous life, he pays bribes, he commits various crimes, he engages in strange and potentially embarrassing sexual behavior, including cheating on his wife, including paying to sleep with porn stars. In 2017, an additional allegation that Trump had visited Russia, which we do know to be true, but that while he was there, he engaged in various sexual acts with prostitutes and had them do God knows what. So people have kind of speculated, hey, what if the Russia Secret Intelligence Service people, whatever they're called these days, you know, like the KGB, what if they, like, bugged that apartment? What if they saw Trump doing weird shit? What if they have a video of him, like, I don't even want to speculate what he could have done. In 2016, Trump's campaign, including his personal lawyers and family members, met with Russian operatives in his place of residence in hopes of getting dirt on their Democratic Party opponents. Russian hackers targeted the Democratic Party campaign, and they published private information from the DNC on WikiLeaks, an organization which the Trump campaign was also in direct contact with. And then Trump, once he was in office, was completely subservient to Russian interests. He got on stage at Helsinki and claimed that he would take the word of Vladimir Putin over the word of all his own government's intelligence agencies. He also insisted on having numerous one-on-one meetings with Putin that nobody else was ever privy to. Imagine if it turns out that Putin had something damaging on Trump this entire time. And he doesn't need to have been giving Trump detailed orders about what to do, but just make it clear to him early on that if he doesn't play ball with the Russian agenda, they'll release a bunch of damaging material about him. And then, perhaps also crucially, Trump doesn't really see going along with the Russian agenda as that big of an ask in the first place. A question that I'm left with is, what would they even have to have on him? What could be enough? His tax returns? Proof of him doing crimes? Proof of him cheating on his wife? I don't think anybody would care about any of that. The people who support him would probably distrust it, then they would justify it, then they would do a whataboutism about how, oh, there's a Democratic Party person who did something similar once, and then they would forget about it by next week. In order for some kind of damaging material to be effective, it would have to be something crazy bad. I think the only thing that would even stick would have to be either pedophilia or if he violently raped somebody. And I don't mean a he pressured me into it and I froze up kind of rape, not because that isn't terrible, but because I have a feeling his supporters would dispute the legitimacy of that, say that it wasn't really rape, and then forgive him. It would need to be like, she's crying the whole time and he keeps hitting her and telling her to shut up while he moans over her cries kind of rape, okay? And I just think, like, short of some kind of extreme like that, I don't even know what Trump would care about. Like, I don't know what you could blackmail this guy with. Theory 2. Spite. Now, spite against who? Basically just the American elite. Trump is not a successful businessman. He was just born into an incredible amount of money, and not in the form of a big pile of cash, but as an already functioning real estate empire that constantly generates money without him having to do anything. If I had inherited what Trump did, I could be richer than he is today by just sitting on my hands doing nothing. The few times that Trump has tried to go out on his own and do something, it's mostly failed. You've probably heard about a number of these ventures. Trump Steaks, Trump Vodka, Trump University, Trump whatever. Trump is a simple man. He thinks that his last name is a cool, manly, one-syllable brand of a word, so he finds a company that makes a product, and he offers to let them pay him in exchange for putting his name on their product. He doesn't actually do anything beyond just that. In a way, Trump is a brand without a product, or at least without any specific product. It's a word that we associate with luxury, or at least with the appearance of luxury. The idea is that if there are two hotels, one of them is called Hotel something something, and the other is called Trump Hotel, then we irrational consumers will be like, ooh, the Trump Hotel, that sounds good. And for a while, that was Trump's only real function. The only positive thing that he did for his businesses was get in front of cameras and kind of appear successful. Because the more that people thought of him as a successful guy, the more something having the word Trump stamped on it had a positive impact on any given business venture. To be clear, this wasn't actually a successful business model. This was just the idea behind it, if you can even call this an idea. Most of the Trump-branded products ended up failing, and even his hotels, golf courses, casinos, and other properties would often struggle to remain in the black. The fact that he's had to declare bankruptcy numerous times is not an indication that he's actually brilliant. I think a turning point in Trump's life was when he got into doing reality television. As the host of The Apprentice, Trump was able to broadcast a completely make-believe version of himself into millions of Americans' homes. He was a powerful, successful business executive who made tough decisions with conviction. It's literally like he's play acting a personal fantasy of the life that he wished he had but never actually did. The show actually turned out to be a big hit, and his take-home for being the face of it is where a huge portion of Trump's wealth actually came from, not real estate. He's rich like Judge Judy is rich. Trump wanted to mingle with successful rich people. He wanted to be respected in that community. He tried, but he was largely rejected by the actual elites, the real billionaires, the ones who actually ran businesses instead of just pretending to on TV. He wished that he could have been somebody like Richard Branson or Michael Bloomberg or even Bill Gates, somebody with some kind of merit, for fuck's sake. Everybody saw Trump as a silver spoon moron who was just born into wealth, did nothing with any of it, and talked like somebody who wouldn't be qualified for middle management. They laughed at him, they didn't take him seriously, they didn't invite him to the cool parties, and he hated them all for it. He came to resent the American elites. This is why Trump is so insecure about everything, and especially about his wealth, about his money pile, because that's literally all he has, and why he isolated himself as an outsider up in his big boy tower, the one with his name on the side in big letters. I think Barack Obama angered Trump because he had the kind of admiration and respect that Trump wanted, and Trump didn't think he deserved it. I mean, come on, he's not even a billionaire, he's not even rich. Who were his parents? There must be something wrong. There must be something off about him, some kind of disqualifying factor. He can't have won. He must have cheated. Trump became a leading voice in the birther movement, trying to figure out how to disqualify Obama from being president. Obama, like the Manhattan billionaires, represented an elite class of American society that Trump wanted to be a part of. But again, it was a club he couldn't get into. And again, they laughed at him. But then it turns out that I was wrong, and that politics is a club he could get into. We just didn't realize it back then. Also, when I say they laughed at him, I mean they really laughed at him. If you haven't seen this video of Obama making fun of Trump at the Correspondents' Dinner, this is like literally his villain origin story. By the time he was sworn in as president, Trump harbored a personal resentment for the American elite and their ideology. He hates American business leaders, he hates American politicians. In short, he hates all the people who were running the show up until he came along. He was the loser, but now he's finally getting his revenge, and upsetting the international order is one of the ways that he's doing it. These other people, these career politicians and people with actual university degrees, they all think that Russia is bad? Ha! Well, the enemy of Trump's enemy just might be Trump's friend. I mean, hey, if Obama, McCain, and Hillary all didn't like Putin, then maybe Putin isn't so bad. Theory 3, Trump's values. Or more Trump's lack of values. I think most normal people look at the Russia-Ukraine conflict and instantly obviously understand why Russia is the bad guy. This is something that Trump does not relate to. On some level, and I don't even mean very deep down, but at least a little bit beneath the surface, he doesn't really understand why he's expected to be on Ukraine's side. When he looks at the Russia-Ukraine war, he probably thinks, why don't we just help Russia? Why don't we just help them conquer Ukraine and see what we can get out of it? Who cares? Why not? Trump's America doesn't have any real values or virtues. Trump's America would probably go around and help whichever side in any given conflict is just willing to pay America the most, or it would just back whatever side is already winning in order to never lose. It would stand for nothing aside from its own self-enrichment. Freedom, peace, and democracy to Trump are just words that you say into the camera when the teleprompter tells you to. He doesn't actually care about any of these things. Trump doesn't think that Putin, Xi Jinping, Kim Il-sung, or any other autocrat are doing something wrong by ruling over their countries undemocratically, suppressing their opposition, curtailing the free press, and surrounding themselves with yes-men losers who just tell them whatever they want to hear. To Trump, these guys are just getting away with exactly what he wishes he could get away with in America. So from Trump's point of view, it doesn't make sense why these guys should be his enemy. Except that all of the American elites, whom he hates, act as though that's how it ought to be. But Trump feels more at home with, and is more akin to psychologically, men like Putin, than a Western politician who actually governs, who actually works with other politicians, who actually cares about their people, and who actually follows laws instead of acting like they're above them. So when there's a conflict between these Western politicians and Putin, Trump just kind of naturally leans toward Putin. So, yeah.